And Muhammad did not get married the same evening.
Okay, when was it?
Let me tell you, calm down. Because you said same evening, you have no evidence for that. Neither does your mate Tommy Robinson. Okay, listen to this. First and foremost, in Islam there is a rule. You cannot just go and marry a captive of war that you have captured. That is the first rule.
Why?
Because that is the rule of the war.
Where is that rule?
That's rule in the Sharia. Okay? And the rule is something that the Prophet ﷺ himself had actually instigated during the wars. It doesn't mean that the Muslim... Look, if you want to be educated, you need to be quiet.
Tell me when it was.
I'll tell you, but you need to listen to me.
Tell me now.
I'll tell you. If you're in a hurry, come back when you have time.
Yeah, okay.
Because I'm not going to rush it. This is the history of Islam.
Yeah.
Okay? What I'm telling you is this. It did not happen the same evening. That's for certain.
The next day.
It happened. No, it didn't happen the second day or the third day. You need to understand one thing. There is something called the iddah. Do you know what iddah is? What is iddah?
3 months.
Huh?
3 months.
3 months? 3 months what?
Waiting period.
For what?
After having sex.
No, it's not after having sex. Okay, let me tell you what it
So
is.
after your last...
Many Muslims wouldn't know this, so I don't want to hold it against you. The iddah is a period, basically when is a number of menstrual cycles.
Yeah.
So for example, when somebody gets...
Exactly, after having sex.
No, it's not after having sex. Listen to this.
After having sex.
No, don't be silly. It's after the menstrual cycle. There's a difference between menstrual cycle and having sex. I hope you know that difference. Okay, let me tell you something.
No, but when does it start?
I'll tell you if you wait for me. Listen, I'm telling you when. So there is different iddah for different people. For example, if a woman is divorced, her iddah is 4 months and 10 days. If she is widowed, then her iddah is 3 months.
From what though?
Let me finish. Iddah is basically the waiting period between one menstrual cycle to another. Okay? Are you with me? Not having sex.
Yeah,
Okay. Now, for a captive, okay, the iddah is one menstrual cycle. So the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ waited one menstrual cycle before he married Safiya. Remember the word?
1 month.
Married. I don't know how long the menstrual cycle was for her. Normally it's 1 month, yes.
So he waited 1 month.
I'm telling you, that's the normal time. So I have no clue as to when her previous menstrual cycle was when she got captured. But basically it is one menstrual cycle since captivity.
So you want me to believe that she was happy to marry this guy?
Yeah, based on the history
1
of
month.
Yes,
After
the history of Safiya. If you read the history,
after her husband was
listen.
killed.
Even before she was captured, she actually had a dream. Safiya had a dream that the sun landed in her lap. Yes, and she revealed this dream to her husband, who was a king. You know what the husband did? He smacked her one on the face, and she actually had a mark near her eye. This was her husband. When she narrated this story, he understood that, are you going to marry the king who is invading us, i.e. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? And this is when he struck her one on the eye, near the eye, and it made a mark to her. And then she realized that this story is now related to her. And when they actually captured king and these Bani Qurayza, this tribe of the Jews, she was a Jewess, by the way. This is when she realized that this prophecy had come true, or this dream had come true. Yes, and remember when she married Muhammad, based on her testimony, she said he's one of the best husbands I could have had. Very compassionate, very kind. Yes. She compared him, and she saw somehow to her previous husband who beat her and caused a mark near her eyes, which stayed permanently. Now wait a minute. This woman had love for the Prophet ﷺ. If you read the history of Muhammad, you'll see this love emanate from both Muhammad ﷺ and her, Safiya radiallahu anha. Some of the wives of Muhammad, they were jealous of her because she was a very good cook. Yes, I think there's one narration where Aisha radiallahu anha, because of jealousy, she broke a pot. She took the pot and she threw it down because the Prophet ﷺ and everyone else liked her food very much. And Safiya loved her until death. You know when the Prophet ﷺ, on his deathbed, on his deathbed, you know what she said? The suffering you're having, I wish that was for me. So she wanted to change places with the Prophet ﷺ at his deathbed when he was suffering during the last throes of his death. This is the love of Safiya and Muhammad ﷺ. When they used to travel, you know, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he used to make it easy for her. So the saddle, if it was very hard, the saddle of the camel, he used to put his own cloak on it so that she could sit and it would be comfortable for her. This was the love of Muhammad and Safiya radiallahu anha, which you and Tommy Robinson wouldn't see because you haven't read on it. All you have seen is that Safiya was a captive and Muhammad married her by force. There's no evidence for that.
But in Islam, you can have sex slaves.
You can have sex slave. No, you can have, for example, look, there's a difference.
What's
Wait.
What's sabiyah?
Have you actually understood anything I said?
Yeah, but what is? But
Okay.
you can have sex slaves.
First and
You can have
foremost,
sex
you need
slaves.
to understand the difference between sex slave. What is sex slave? Define. Define sex slave to me.
Is a captive, a prisoner of war,
Yes.
who you can have sex with.
Yes. Does she have any rights? A sex slave, does she have any rights? Good. So that is not sex slave as far as Islam is concerned. Because in Islam, there is actually a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said that feed the slaves which you call, actually we wouldn't use the word slave even, is actually a servant, more of a servant. Yes? Even a captive if you want to call it, yes. But not a slave in the sense of the European slaves where they were shackled by boatloads taken to America. Yes? And the ones who did not survive, they were thrown in the seas.
You can have sex with these captives, though.
No, have sex, but with condition.
What?
You don't just have sex with them. For example, the idda I told you already. So imagine if the previous pagans, you know what they used to do? As soon as they used to capture the women, yes, they used to have sex with them the same night. Have you ever seen an army which has captured and overpowered the very people who wanted to kill them, and then said, no, we are going to capture them and we are going to wait an idda. We are going to wait up to 1 month, yes, before we sleep with them. Yes, they can have sex with them, and they're allowed to marry them as well, and they have to actually abide by the condition. So not every soldier. Listen. Really, it's horrible. Yeah. It's horrible. Do you know what happened during the World Wars? They used to sleep with them the same night. I'm not, because you're trying to say it's horrible for the Muslims.
Is it horrible?
What you're doing now is you're basically.
Is it horrible?
What's horrible?
Having sex with sex
Is it
slaves.
horrible to kill people?
Is it horrible to have sex with sex slaves?
If they have sex slave, you know some of the sex slaves, which you call sex slaves. Some of the women, when they used to go along with their husbands, why?
Is it horrible to have sex?
Can I answer? Can I answer the way I want?
No.
No, then I don't want to answer you.
Say yes or no.
No, I will not answer yes or no.
Is it horrible to have sex with
I'm not here to answer the way you want me to answer.
Do you think it's
I will
horrible?
answer.
Do you think it's horrible?
I will answer the way I want.
Do you think it's horrible?
I will answer
Do you
the
think-
way
do you think it's
I want.
horrible?
Okay. Safia did not think it was horrible.
Do you think it's horrible?
Safia did not think it was horrible.
You
The
said-
very victims that you're trying to actually speak for, they themselves were pleased that the Muhammad ﷺ married them. So don't tell me it's horrible when they themselves did not say it was horrible. Now listen to this. Why did the women, when they went to war, why did they dress up during the war at that time? Why? Why did they put on the jewelry and dress up really nicely when they went to war? Why? If it was so horrible, why did they actually prepare for such an occasion? Are you going to answer?
Muslim
too big, bro. Hold it in your hand.
Muslim people came to this country
If you want to, yeah,
and
go on.
they went to Cornwall and they invaded Cornwall and they took.
Invaded.
Who invaded Cornwall? The Muslim armies.
You said Muslim army.
Which army?
Muslim pirates.
Muslim powers? Which powers?
Pirates.
Pirates. Oh, do you know they were Muslims? Are you sure? Which country did they come
Come
from?
from Barbary Coast.
From Barbary Coast.
Barbary
Yes,
Coast,
and what did they do?
North Africa.
Yeah, what did they do?
They took women from this country. They took them back to North Africa, sold them as sex slaves.
Yeah, free women.
And they-
Wait,
you're-
were
you're
they free
saying-
women?
You're saying this.
Were they free women? Those women they took from Cornwall, were they free?
Of course they were.
Okay, did they fight a war with the pirates?
No.
Because you see, that is illegal in Islam.
No, it's not. You can
Oh,
spread
you're
Islam-
teaching me what Islam is?
You can spread Islam by offensive jihad.
No, we're not talking about offenses here. We're talking about pirates here. There's a big difference.
No.
Now, pirates, wait a minute. Pirates is not an Islamic army. First and foremost, you need to understand the difference. In Islam, the only way you can have captives of war, yes, is if they fight you and you fight them. Wait.
You
I
can
haven't
attack
finished.
too. You can attack
I haven't.
too.
Yeah, it can be offensive war as well.
Exactly.
I'm not saying only defensive war, but you're talking about pirates, which is a completely different thing. Now, pirates capturing free people is not something that Islam considers as legitimate, because that's not really a war, is it? It is more like vagabonds going and killing people. It's like the European pirates who used to go and kill other people. So don't tell me just because you had some pirates from Muslims captured people in Cornwall, that is an illegitimate. You cannot, like the Europeans used to have slaves. Yes, they used to take any free African or Asian or anybody else, and they used to enslave that. In Islam, that is not permitted. You cannot take a free man or a woman as a slave. The only ones you can take as captives is the ones who are fighting you.
No.
Only in a war, yes.
You can
Only in a war.
You can invade a country and then they are fighting you.
Yeah, but you didn't have the United Nations then. So invading countries was quite normal at that time.
quite normal.
It was, yes.
So you could go around invading
My
countries.
friend, it was like.
So,
How do you think the world went around at that time? How?
so do you think it's acceptable?
Any
Do you
country-
think it's acceptable to go to another country?
At that time, it was, yes.
So you think
It was, yes.
Okay.
Why do you think people like King Arthur and all are made the heroes when they used to go and invade other countries?
They didn't.
No, they didn't.
Defensive.
Oh, really? So the Europeans only went to defensive wars? Are you for real?
No, but I'm
You
saying-
guys are the colonialists, for God's sake.
You're the
You're the
original-
last people to tell us about invasion of other countries.
You're the original colonialists.
Really? Show me when.
Because the whole of Islam's expansion was colonialism.
Are you saying people before Islam did not colonize anyone? What do you think the Jews did?
That's a segue.
What do you think the Jews did? What do you think the Jews did to the Canaanites?
But
Are you going to answer that question?
Muslims did it
What
too.
did the Jews do?
Muslims did it
No,
too.
you said we were the original. I'm telling you, the Jews came before the.
no, but-
Do you agree?
No.
Do you?
Well, no.
You don't agree the Jews came before?
No, I agree with that, but I don't.
Did they invade any countries? Did they invade any countries?
Islam-
Did they invade any countries?
Islam.
Did they invade any countries? Did the Jews? Did the Jews?
Yes, they did.
Okay, so who are the original? Who are the original? Who are the original? See it? Look, he's reluctant now. For the Muslims, he'll say they were the original. But as soon as he's been schooled about the Jews, he doesn't want to say.
but yeah.
Who are the original? Say it.
You're before us, though.
Say it.
You're before us.
Before who's us? Who's us? Who's us? Wait a minute. Who is us?
The West.
The West.
What about Roman Empire? What would they do?
Actually, you're right. The West was educated by the East.
No, but you to teach us to invade people.
No. When you were living in the Dark Ages, when you were praying to the bones of your priest, yes, we had the golden era.
When did we?
The mathematics and the astronomy was in
yeah.
our was on our turf. Yes,
Now you want algebra. Now you want
Muslims.
that is the original. That is the original. That is the original. He will not talk about.
That was in Spain.
No, exactly. It was the Muslims who went to Spain.
Invasion.
No, wait. Like I told you, invasion at that time wasn't a bad thing. That was a norm.
So
It was a norm.
Muslim invasion is
Yes, the
good.
Jews invaded, the
And
Christians
everyone else
invaded,
invasion
the
bad.
Muslims invaded, the atheists invaded, the pagans invaded, the Hindus invaded, all of them invaded. Don't you worry. Okay? Now wait a minute. Before the United Nations was formed, you don't know that the rule of the law was basically whoever is the mightiest would take the flag and hoist it in the country, and that becomes theirs.
Well, that's what you want. That's what Islam would do again if they had a
He's
chance.
giving you some drinks.
Jesus Christ is alive.
Okay, so you need to put things into perspective. I'm not saying all Muslims are saints. I'm saying we have our own share of black sheep. But you need to realize that the number of killings is far greater than any Muslim army has ever done in history for both the atheists and the Christians. That's for sure.
Not for sure.
That's for sure.
Look at the Holocaust. What about that?
Yeah, who was responsible for that? Don't tell me the Muslims.
Don't say anything.
Who was responsible for that? Say it.
We were fighting against them, the Nazis.
No.
No. When you say we, remember earlier he said the West. Let's see. Let's ask him who's the we now. Who's the we now? Who's the we? Who's the we?
England.
Ah!
Saying the West.
You see, this is the double standards we have to deal with.
It wasn't Jesus, was it? It wasn't Jesus.
Where did Jesus come from in the middle? Wrong conversation, mate. All right, listen. What I'm telling you is that if you look at history, it was definitely the West, the atheists, the Christians, for example, who invaded other countries and made them their slaves for sure, and also killed genocide, massive genocide on massive
Jesus
scale.
taught love.
Same as
He
Islam.
taught love thy neighbor, love thy enemies, pray for them, love them, don't kill them. We agree with that.
And what will he do after he comes in his second coming? What will he do in the second coming?
You can't compare God. You tell God what to
What
do.
will he do in the second coming?
You tell God what to do.
What will he do? He says, "Bring my enemies in front of me and slay them."
No,
If they
it's
do
a
not,
parable.
if they do not believe me to be
It's a story.
parable about
It's a
whom?
story.
About whom?
About a king.
About whom?
A king.
But who's that king?
It's a story.
Who's the king?
It's not real.
In the
It's not
parable,
man.
who's the king?
Jesus.
In the parable, the one who will do the killing is Jesus. So go away.
Love them.
All right. So anyway,
Love them.
what I'm telling
I'm
you,
coming
look at
from
history
Jesus.
and
Love
put
your
things in
neighbor.
context and
Love thy
look at
neighbor.
it. Just ignore
Love
it.
thy
It's
neighbor.
background noise. So what I'm saying is that you look things in perspective and don't actually look at it anachronistically.
What I'm saying is that there's many.
Because I don't know what your hatred about Muslims is. Because throughout these discussions, you have been blaming Muslims for everything. Is there a reason you hate the Muslims?
I hate a lot of things about Islam.
Why? What is it you hate about
I
Islam?
hate sex
Give me
slaves,
one.
for example. Sex slaves.
But I just explained to you, sex slaves
no, you haven't
are not the
explained to me.
sex slaves, the European kind.
It's just as bad. just as bad.
What do you mean just as bad?
You can't.
In Europe, you can take a free man and make them your slave at that time. Yes? Before, that goes the downfall of the Israeli flag there. Okay, so what I'm saying is this. If at that time, this was a norm, slavery was a norm at that time. Now wait. What you're trying to do is you're trying to use a 21st century norm, and this is called anachronistic understanding of history. Now, if you realize that at that time, it was okay to have slaves, but you see what Islam did? Islam actually narrowed down the sources of slavery. At that time, anyone could be enslaved. Anyone. Any free man or woman can be enslaved, but Islam said no, that is all illegal. The only way you can actually have captives is the ones who fight you and the one you fight. And then if they were overpowered, you take them as captives. And this is the only source.
That's horrible though.
Really?
Wait.
No, wait. When you say horrible, you're judging by the 21st century, aren't you not?
Isn't Islam the same for all time?
Islam is same? What do you mean?
Don't they say it's unchanging? Muhammad is an example for all time.
Yes, he is.
So
what's the problem?
How can you say that applies to
Okay, I'll tell you what. You give me one of your heroes from the past.
No, you change the subject.
No, I'm not. Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to say that, look, we take the higher moral ground when our history completely is rotten.
Okay,
but then I have to judge you Muslims by your 21st century, our modern history, and completely ignore everything that happened in the past.
I don't ignore everything that happened in the past.
Double standards, basically.
But do you not celebrate them as your heroes? Do you not put Churchill on your £5 notes, for example? Why are they celebrated? Why are your heroes, who massacred many people, celebrated as heroes, but then you do not give us the same
He
courtesy?
didn't massacre many people.
How many did he massacre?
Churchill.
During the World War II.
Yeah, but that was a...
What did he go? He went and gave roses to the Nazis.
Yeah, but he
Mr. Nazi, Mr. Hitler, here's a rose for you. Mr. Mussolini, here's a rose for you. Yes, Mr. Stalin, here's a rose for you.
We were fighting the Nazis.
Don't give me that rubbish.
We were fighting the Nazis.
Exactly, and we were fighting the pagans.
Yeah, what about the Crusaders?
Why do you think the pagans marched all the way to Medina to kill the Meccans? Sorry, the army of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam.
But I'm saying that your values then, they're the same as your values now.
No, values. By values, what do you mean? What do you mean by values?
Sex slaves, for example.
Okay.
You think sex slaves is okay now?
You know what I see as sex slave today? Wait. Do you know what the modern day sex slave is? The prostitute, the prostitution that happens
in London,
and the one that is responsible.
Do you think
in London, prostitution
That is called sex slavery. Yes. And most of these people who are actually working in this industry, they're actually brought in as literal slaves.
from other countries to the UK.
And Jesus had no sex slaves.
But why do you think?
Traffic.
In the Old Testament, he did.
I'm
not
The same Jesus in the Old Testament.
There is no prostitution in Saudi Arabia, but there's prostitution here.
Pornography
Jesus had sex slaves.
Pornography and
Jesus
prostitution
had sex slaves.
is basically something that is
Christ.
rampant in European countries. Yes. Now, for you to completely ignore all that, do you think that is
ignoring
good?
that.
Do you think women should be treated like that?
No.
You're trying to defend those sex slaves by the Muslim armies, but then the 21st century sex slaves
You're
is okay.
literally defending sex slaves.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
It's relevant in today's society. That's what he's trying to say. In today's society.
What I'm saying, listen. What I'm saying is that when the Muslims used to march to war at that time, yes, these women used to come. Can I finish my statement? These non-Muslim, these pagans, the families used to go along with the men, and they used to be dressed. The women used to be dressed in ornaments and with the best clothes, because they knew that if they were captured, they were going to be taken as captives of war. They knew this already. So why do you think they went and accompanied their husbands in the war? Why? We did not take them from the houses like the way the Europeans did. Yes, we did not take them and shackle them like the way the Europeans did.
So Islamic sex slavery is good.
No, it's not called sex slavery at all.
That
is, you're using your standards. You're using your standards and putting it on the Muslims.
Good. It doesn't say Islam murder is good. Islam killing is good.
What about your murder and slavery? The murdering that happens by the drones that are thousands of miles away and killing innocent women and children. Do you think that's okay?
No, but they're not doing.
When did you ever condemn that?
I would condemn it.
Go on. Let me hear it. Let me hear it.
If they're doing
Let me hear
If
it.
they're doing on purpose,
Of course they do it on purpose. You're talking about thousands of miles away, bombing people. Do you really think they can actually pinpoint one person and kill that person?
they normally go.
If that was the case, why didn't they kill Saddam Hussein like that? Why did they have to invade an entire country and kill 500,000 people? Why?
They didn't kill 500,000 people.
They did. Go and do the maths.
It's the Muslims are killing 500,000 people.
Where? Show me where.
The Muslims,
Where?
all ISIS, they're all Muslims. If you look at who's in ISIS,
Who's in ISIS?
they're all Muslims.
What? And who is the main victims?
Muslims.
Thank you very much.
But-
So why would you say that they are our people, the Muslims? We have nothing to do with these fringe groups called ISIS or Al Qaeda.
Yeah,
As
but-
far as I'm
but they are
concerned, they are
Muslims.
our enemies.
But they are
But you see, your army is actually state terrorism. When you say your army bombs them, these are not fringe groups. These are legitimate armies
ISIS
which
are-
go and kill
are ISIS Muslims?
ISIS. They claim they're Muslims.
Are they
They
Muslims?
claim they're Muslims.
Are they Muslims?
Like I said, they claim they're Muslims.
Well, they're-
Okay,
they're
now
not-
let me
they're not
ask you.
Americans, are they?
Like I said, they're our enemies, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, but they're not
Are
Americans.
are the Americans your enemies? Are the Americans your friends or your enemies?
Well, they're more my friends than ISIS.
Good, so they are your friends, right? Well, ISIS is not my friend.
Yeah, we dislike
So your friend is doing the killing,
Yeah, but
and wait a minute.
No, they're not. People that claim they're Muslims.
But they're doing it for Islam.
And to be honest with you,
Look. Just because somebody claims they are Muslims doesn't make them Muslims.
In their head, they're doing it because of Islam.
Have you checked the head?
I've seen what they say.
Oh, what do they say?
It's all Quranic verses.
Yes, and that makes them Muslim, really.
Well, that's what they say.
You can read the Quranic verse.
Read the Quranic verse.
You can read the
Go
Quran.
on.
Will that make you Muslim?
No, but
If you read a Quranic verse, or if Tommy Robinson read Quranic verses, will that make them Muslims?
But they think they're doing it in the name of Islam.
Who's doing it?
They are.
Oh my God!
convinced to.
Look, people can do many things in the name of other people. Doesn't
I could do
legitimize
something in the
it.
name of you if I wanted to. That's how I did it for you.
But they're doing it. They're doing it because they think they're doing
And
it right.
and who do you know? The American army. Listen. The people you were just condemning, Tony Blair. He does it in your name.
No, he didn't do it in my name.
Yeah, he did it in the name of Britain.
Apart on behalf of
Are you not British?
He
Are you not British?
He did it.
Are you not British?
He wasn't quoting.
Are you not
he
British?
Wasn't quoting some. But they are.
He was the prime minister, for God's sake. You elected him. What more you want?
That time.
It doesn't matter. Majority of you elected him. That's how he came to power. So the majority of the people are actually legitimizing this war in Iraq then.
Yeah, but I'm saying the problem is Islam.
Which problem?
Because
You're an Islamophobe, are you? Are you not?
Yeah, I am.
Yes, you are. Good. At least you admit
really
it.
scared of it.
Okay.
There's nothing
So
wrong-
tell
Yeah.
me, what is the problem with Islam? You mentioned sex
Because-
slaves. What else? Go on,
ISIS.
carry on.
People like
Okay, ISIS, they're my enemies as well. What else? What else?
Okay, child brides.
Child brides.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of your kings married like 6 years old, 7 years old.
So what do you think about child brides?
Okay, first and foremost,
What do you think about them?
what do you understand by child bride?
9 years old.
Okay, 9 years old. In this country, what is the age at which you can get married?
You have proof, 9 years old.
No, wait. Wait, Rocky, wait. We're coming to that.
No.
What age can a girl get married here in this country?
16, I think.
16. Okay. What was it 100 years ago?
No, but what do you
What
think-
was it 100 years ago? Because you're doing it again. You're using anachronistic examples from Islamic history from 1400 years ago, and you're trying to judge it from the 21st century. How many Muslims you know? How many Muslims you know that desire child brides?
Quite a lot.
Really? Name me one. Name me one. Let's see if he knows. Name me one.
Well, the legal age in Iran.
No. You said quite a lot. Do you know any?
Yeah.
Name me one.
I've spoken to many on
Online?
internet forums.
Online?
Yeah.
How do you know they were even Muslims?
Because I can
And why were you asking them if you desire child brides? Are you in some child pornography? Because most of the child pornographers are white British people in this country who are caught. Yes.
Politicians.
Yes. Majority of them.
What about
Majority of them.
What about all the Pakistani
Yes.
Muslim
There. I'm not saying no.
raping gangs?
There are some.
Many.
Wait.
80% of grooming gangs in this country. 80%.
80%. Where do you get your numbers from?
Exactly. 80% of grooming gangs.
Yes. Are who?
Pakistani Muslims.
Really? Where do you get your numbers from?
This is official.
Where's your evidence? Show me the evidence. Show me the evidence. You just said it. I believe it. That's nonsense.
That's true.
It's utterly
If I
nonsense.
can prove it, will
Yeah,
you-
prove it. I'll believe it.
80%.
If you can believe from a legitimate source that it is 80% of
grooming-
all the child porn in this country.
I said of grooming gangs.
What is grooming gang?
Yeah, define grooming gang.
What is grooming gang? Preparing them for marriage, or like actually like taking them and forcing
Grooming
them?
gangs are these groups of Pakistani men.
Oh, it's a group of Pakistani men only.
Yes.
All right. What do you consider as child pornography?
What do you mean?
Or child molesters? Or pedophiles?
Can I-
Who are majority of the pedophiles in this country? The white men.
That's because we're
Yes?
that's because we're the
And this
majority.
got nothing to do with race. This is by what do you say, by statistics. Okay, in this country, if you go and check it out,
We're majority.
you can. So you agree they are the majority. Just like you were saying 80%.
No. I'm saying 80% of grooming gangs.
No, don't say. You're saying 80% of the Pakistanis are Pakistanis. Is what you're saying.
No, I'm saying 80% of grooming gangs in this country.
Yeah, but grooming gang is what? There's no such thing as a grooming gang.
These are words
A
you're
term.
using, getting from the media.
No.
You're misfabricated.
No. A grooming gang is a group of men.
That prey on young girls, yeah?
Young girls.
Yes.
And you think Muslims are going to do that, honestly, like?
And do the white
They
do the white pedophiles not do this?
No, not the same way.
So in which way do they do it?
They do it individually.
So you think that's good? No.
What did I say? That's ridiculous.
How do you know it's individually? Many of these gangs have been they've been caught colluding together and basically sharing not only the pictures and the videos, but they were actually they were involved in this. Yes, that is called a gang. A group is called a gang.
They're not what?
Yeah, individually online, still connected, though. Still communicating.
But
These grooming gangs have sex.
No,
These
they're
grooming.
colluding.
These
They're colluding together to work together and get these. Yes. And
They are.
get these children, take pictures of them specifically, come together.
You should read the papers
and spread them
sometimes.
around. That's disgusting, mate.
it looks like
Don't try to say
he only reads Daily Mail and he sees only the Muslim gangs.
Yeah, exactly. You've been brainwashed
No,
mate, by
the
the
grooming
media by the
gangs.
sounds of it.
This is 50 men with white girls having sex in an apartment.
In an apartment. And this
this
happens all over the country, is it?
Yes.
Yes, and you got and where do you think the police are doing? Nothing about it?
Not much.
Really? So whom should you blame?
The perpetrators.
By the way, that is not Islam.
Not the police.
Even if what you're saying is true, which I know is not true, it's not 80%.
It is,
Okay, because the
80%
pedophiles, 80% are not Muslims. Trust me, they're not. Okay,
I'm talking about 80% of the gangs.
but which gangs? You have just made up this term.
I've got sources.
Yeah, go on. Let's see the sources.
Tommy Robinson.
I know you won't believe anybody.
By the way, are you one of the Tommy Robinson gangs?
No,
No, you're not. What do you think of him?
I think it's okay.
You think he's an Islamophobe? Like you?
Is he an Islamophobe? Oh, I think yes, of
Okay.
course he
Yeah,
is.
like
yes.
minds think alike.
Yeah,
I don't
okay,
blame
so
him.
let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What age do you think a girl should be allowed, the minimum age to get married?
What age? Based
Yeah.
on what? Based on the country or based on the religion?
Based on religion.
Based on the religion. So, depending on the country's law, for example,
country law.
I'm telling you, I'll answer the way I want.
Islamic
I'll answer the way I
law.
want.
Islamic law,
Yes, I'll
please.
answer the way I want. Do you mind? In this country, we don't have the Sharia. So, we do
No,
not
no,
have an
no,
Islamic law.
I know that.
Can I answer the way I want?
No, you
without
take
you
your time.
interrupting?
Just tell me
Okay, if you don't have time, come back next time when you have time. But I'm not going to rush it for you.
Just tell me.
I will answer.
Okay, yeah.
I will answer
Sharia, please.
correctly. Yes, Sharia. Do we have Sharia in this country?
Just answer according to
No, but
Sharia.
it's important. I get feedback from you as well. Do we have Sharia in this country? Good. So in this country, it's not permitted. Okay? In this country, you follow the law of the country. Otherwise, it's illegal for you. Now, if you were in a Sharia country, Sharia compliant country, then you follow the law of that land. Yes? For example, if you went in that country and you wanted to drink alcohol, you won't get alcohol because it won't be served to you. Similarly,
How long is it going to?
I gave you the answer already. You follow the law.
You have a Sharia country
Yes.
with a Sharia law. What is the age
Okay,
limit?
so good. You're coming now. You're making more specific. So in a Sharia compliant country,
Yeah.
where you have Sharia compliancy, and this is the law, then the law is this. The law is the same as in the Jewish and the previous religions and in Islam, yes, which is at the age of puberty. So when puberty sets in, and there's more. I haven't finished. At the age of puberty, and until they have a mind which is capable of taking that experience of marriage as being something that they can take on.
And how old was Aisha when she got married?
Aisha, at the time, again, you're talking about 1400 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes, she was 9 years old.
When she got married?
At the age of 9.
When she got married?
At the age of 9.
When she got married?
I told you at the age of 9.
No, that's when she had sex. When did she get married?
Oh, at the age of 6.
Yes.
Yes.
So do you think she had a mind, 6 years old, decided to get married?
At that time, that was the norm.
Do you think she had a mind at 6 years old?
No,
No, that's why she didn't get married.
No, it's
Sorry, that's why she did not have sex.
did you believe it, Aisha? Did you believe it?
Okay.
No, do you believe it?
By the way, do you know how? Habibi, wait a minute. Listen. Do you know how old was Mary when she got pregnant? The mother of Jesus at the age of 12. Do you think a 12-year-old girl is ready to get pregnant based on today's standards? All right, so you're going to blame all the Christians that their God's mother shouldn't have been made pregnant by their God. But why do you use this double standards? Wait, why don't you blame the Christians all the Jews who used to have the same norm at that time, yes, used to get married at a very young age. Even some of the English kings, they got at the age of 6 and 7. The law of this country, the legitimate age at which you could get married less than 100 years ago was something that you would consider as pedophilia. Many countries today in Europe, many countries in Europe, like Italy, for example, do you know what the age of marriage over there is? Even today?
Yeah, but
what is it?
I don't know.
Do you think 14 years old, like just maybe a few decades ago at least, okay? All these countries which you are overlooking are European countries where they have the sex laws changed, because you see the law changes. It is a law in this country, do not get married at the next age. But you see, if they have, many of the things on the rise. And don't tell me Muslim grooming gangs are responsible.
It's partly to do with Muslim grooming.
But what about the rest of them who are not being groomed and they're getting pregnant? Why do you think that is?
But the thing is,
why do you think that is?
No,
do you think that is right
is,
for a teen to get pregnant before she reaches the age of 14, 12 even, and sometimes even less than that?
But you have just justified having sex with a girl when she's just hit puberty.
No, I said if she had the state of mind when she can get married. Because you see, and you see, look, that is not something that every Muslim desires to do. Most of the Muslims waited. Even though the Muslims can marry more than one wife, many of them have only one wife. Even though it is legitimate in the Sharia law for them to get married to a girl who has reached puberty and has a state of mind where they can be married, even then they don't. Because you see, this is not something that is compulsory for the Muslims. At that time, there were other reasons, not just for marrying young girl. During the time of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, why do you think he married only one girl who was not either widowed or divorced? Most of the other women were actually of a much bigger age. They were not virgins. Yes. Now you tell me, if he was really a womanizer and if he was really after sex with children, then don't you think there would be more?
No, it's true though. It's a very valid point. You're talking about what we're talking about is social consensus, yeah? Social consensus changes, yeah?
Yes.
Over the course of time, like the age limit for marrying has gone up and up and up and up, yeah? Like now, but we're talking about, he's saying that you're double standards because Christian faith and Jewish faith.
By the way, in America, do you know in America, in many of these Christian groups, they have child marriages to this day because some of the states in America, they do not have a minimum age of marriage. So there are a lot of child marriages in America today.
Yeah, but
today, what are you going to do about it? I've never heard you actually condemn any of those Americans.
You condemn it.
Do I condemn it?
In America.
Yes, if it is illegal, then yes.
No, but in the Sharia, you don't condemn it.
Yes,
you support it.
Like I said, in a Sharia compliant country, wait, you know, this is what I'm trying to say. Why should they comply by your laws in another country? Do you comply?
If you accept the laws, if the Sharia law says 9 years old.
Okay, you know what? Do you condemn abortion? No, do you condemn abortion? A girl and a boy who are not even born, yes, he would actually say it's okay because in my country they allow you to murder these little children who are still in the belly of the mother. Would you condemn that? Are you going to answer that question?
You think it's okay to have sex?
Is it okay to kill? Is it okay to? I've already answered the question. Look, what are you doing now? You're repeating yourself. I've already answered the question very clearly. Yes. Now answer my question. Would you condemn abortion?
Well, I'm just rather sick of all the things. Sick of all the things.
Are you sick of abortion?
I'm sick.
Are you sick of abortion?
Abortion, I think, is okay in a very.
It's okay to kill children in the belly of the woman. Yes, that is okay. But a 9-year-old cannot get married if she's reached an age when she can actually get married.
In the early stages, yes.
What do you mean early stages?
Right, in the first.
Why should a life be killed?
If it's a few cells.
Even if it's a few cells, doesn't matter. It has a potential of life.
Doesn't count.
It does count because that is life which you're killing and which you are now legitimizing as being it's okay to murder.
It hasn't got a conscience, it hasn't got any pain.
How do you know it doesn't have pain?
It hasn't got any pain sensors.
By the way, do you know up to what age they can actually abort?
I think it's probably quite late.
Like how? How many weeks?
I don't know exactly.
When the consciousness is developed.
When the consciousness has developed. But it should be before then.
Yes. So why do you think it is legitimate in this country and many Western countries to kill these children?
There has to be a time limit.
Why? It's a potential life. Why time limit? Are you saying a baby doesn't have the right to life?
After a certain, when it's a very small amount.
Even if it's a few cells, it has a potential of life. Is it not?
What do you know about Jesus?
Is it not?
Coming of Jesus.
So what you're doing is now you're actually condoning murder.
was a man like you.
No, I'm thinking
Yes, you
about-
are.
I'm thinking, well,
You are just because you live in the 21st century when it has become a norm to accept this. You have actually now saying it's okay to kill these babies in the womb of their mothers.
4 cells is not a baby.
That's not the time, only time when you can abort. Okay, it's up to 12 and 13 and 14 weeks.
Is it going? Would it have been alive if you didn't kill it?
If you kept it going,
So can you kill? So if there were, hold on. So if there were 50,000 of these cells, you could just abort them, right? No problem.
it depends what.
Depends.
You
Now
know,
it all
it's not black
depends.
and white.
Now it all depends.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
he's
It is
It
explaining,
is black and white.
when
It
he's
is black and white. It's
explaining
murder.
other things, it
It's
doesn't
black and white murder, whether you like it or not.
That's
For you trying to justify killing children in the belly of the mother, yes, that is something that is only someone who doesn't have a heart will actually say it's okay.
Look how you're justifying it. It's
Yes.
just a few cells.
10 cells.
There you go. Look at.
What do you mean
look at how
10
you're
cells?
justifying it. He's telling you.
Are you,
she's at
you know,
puberty
have
age,
you
and
ever,
that's why you can't handle
you know,
it.
the reason he's saying 10 cells because he actually haven't seen any abortion. Have you seen it? No. Ah, no wonder. The reason you haven't seen it is because it is horrific. And if I want you to educate yourself and go on YouTube and look at an abortion. You know these babies who are being aborted, they got these little fingers, they got little limbs and a head, which you can recognize as a baby. And you know what the doctors do? They plug them bits by bits. They stretch the limbs and they abort them, okay?
Well,
Do you agree with that?
No, it should be before that stage.
No, it is actually at that
I'm
stage.
saying it should be before that
Yeah, but
stage.
what it is, so would you say it is illegal at that stage?
I have to.
When-
I have to.
I've
think
told you,
about
I've told
it.
you
Yeah,
the
at that
situation.
stage, yes.
Do you think at that stage it should be illegal?
Probably.
Well, it's
We'll
not.
have to look
There
at
you
that.
go. That's
Okay,
news
well,
for
that's
you.
probably wrong.
You know, you have read a lot about Islamophobic stuff
No, but
from
I-
Islamophobic website.
well,
go and look at your own
no,
history and learn about it
Well,
sometimes.
the thing is, you haven't put me. Many things you've said here.
I've answered your questions. What more you
yes,
want?
You've answered my
You
question.
don't like them.
I don't
And
like the
that's
answers.
same with you.
That's
You're
fine.
going on about
I didn't.
cells. He's-
My answers are not here
I
to
don't like
entertain
the
you.
answers about
It is the
sex
truth.
slaves,
If you like it,
about
accept.
apostasy, about killing people, about invading countries. I don't like any of your answers.
You know, all of
So
those.
I'm not going to
Look,
get converted. Sorry.
All of those things. All of those things you have said. All of those things you have said. Your country does it.
No.
No,
Not true.
it doesn't kill people in the war.
You think?
Does it kill people in the war?
The thing is, if you-
Does it kill people in the war?
Yes, of course it does.
So don't tell me that it's only the Muslims, because that's what you're trying to imply.
No, I'm saying that you can start wars. You can
Exactly, the Bible is full of hate,
Wrong, don't make it right.
full
New
of killings.
Testament, From New Testament, love thy neighbor. That's it.
That's it. He ran away. He forgot the bit where Jesus comes back
thy neighbor.
and kills all his enemies.
He's God. He's
Yes,
God. He's a judge. He's God.
He's God.
He can do what he likes.
Then why did he get
can do what
killed?
likes.
What kind of
He
a
can do
God
what
got
he likes.
killed?
He can do what he likes.
All right.
Love thy neighbor. Love thy enemies. Pray for them. Don't cut off their heads.
So you're saying a God can do what he likes. Well, Muslim God does what he likes. Simple as that. Okay, thank you. So you see, look, everything that you have condemned Islam of, you and your army have done it. Sorry, not you personally, but your army has done it as well.
But if you had a chance,
Killing women and
No,
children
the thing
in the
is-
war and then not actually being held accountable for it is the worst thing that you can do. Yes, it's worse than child marriages, it's worse than anything else. Killing women and children indiscriminately from 1,000 miles away using bombs of weapons of mass destruction. Yes, why do you think all of these Western countries have nuclear weapons?
to protect us.
From whom? From other human beings. Yes, and if there is a chance they will use it against human beings, which you know very well will cause indiscriminate murder of all the people who are impacted by the nuclear weapons. Now wait a minute. Do you really think it's only the people who are at war with you who will die? Or it is all the innocent people who will die during a nuclear holocaust?
That would be terrible.
Exactly. So why do you have these weapons of mass destruction?
Because other people have got them.
Yeah, there you go. That's your legitimacy. Yes? Do as other people do.
Pakistan-
I don't care about justice.
Pakistan have got them.
Yeah, it doesn't mean Pakistan is something that... Who did you get it from? From the West.
But well, you're always blaming the West.
No, but because it's the West who develops it. The weapons of mass destruction are developed by the West. Do you not understand that?
The thing is,
Look, all this, for example, all the killing that happens in America, yes, the guns that are there, it is the West who basically manufactures them. And now you can buy guns in America as if a child can buy lollipops. Yes, it's so easy in America now to buy AR-15s. These are assault rifles which kids are using in schools. Within 2 months in this year, January and February, there have been like so many, like 18 or 19 school shootings. Yes, there was a 19-year-old guy who recently killed like 17 or 18 people. Yes,
yeah, I know.
Have you ever spoken out against all this atrocities? But what?
Islam is doing this all the time.
There you go. Everything has to be with Islam.
So you're talking about the West.
You know what? You as an Islamophobe have to change your intellect.
You're a Western phobe.
I'm not. I'm living in the West.
Yeah, but
yes, I know there are many people in the West.
hate
Thank
the West.
God. Thank God you're of a minority.
hate
Those are the people I know who are Westerners. They are not like you Islamophobes. They are actually, you and your kind Robinson are actually in minority. And thank God for that. Every time they go to election, these guys lose. Whether it is in England or in Spain or in Italy, they lose all the elections over there because people know that the right wings and these Islamophobes, they have got nothing in the heart other than hatred. So you guys can go and cry if you want. It's up to you.
You're the one that hates us.
I don't hate you. I hate the kind who hate other people.
You hate our government.
No, who said I hate your government? I said people like Tony Blair. Actually, you're the one who said I don't like Tony Blair. Yes? I said people like Tony Blair should be brought to account. There's nothing about hating them. What I'm saying is that if they have caused injustice and were responsible for indiscriminate killing, then they should be held accountable. Okay? You guys, I'm so glad that in the Western world, you guys are of a minority. You bunch of haters are actually looked down upon by your own kind, and you know that very well.
The thing is,
that's the reason no one elects for your right-wing parties all the time.
No, the reason is they don't know what Islam is. They don't understand it.
Okay, so what is Islam? You didn't know. I had to tell you many things. I had to tell you what Idda was. I had to tell you that it is different for a divorced woman, for a widow, and for a captive. I had to tell you that. Your misconceptions about Islam are basically because of your ignorance about Islam.
They're not. I told you the things that I believe.
No, you didn't. You told me half-truths. You told me half-truths.
No.
I asked you for evidence. You couldn't show any.
I've got lots of evidence.
For what?
All the things I've said. Sex slaves, child brides, 4 wives, 10 wives. All these things are horrible. If people,
wait. 4 wives are horrible? Let's see this. 4 wives are horrible for you, right?
Yeah.
What if the 4 wives agree to marry one man?
They don't always agree.
No, of course. If there's no agreement, there's no marriage in Islam. You see what I meant by ignorance?
No.
This is what it is. Because if a woman and a man do not agree to get married, then that marriage is null and void. Wait a minute. If the 4 women agree to marry a man, is it okay by you? Let's discuss that disagreement later. Let's agree with the agreements first. So if the 4 women agree to marry one man, is that okay? Do the women have the right? Okay, so you're saying the women don't have the right to choose whom they want to get married to?
Yeah.
They don't have a right? Who are you to decide? So you're not just Islamophobes, you're also a sexist.
No.
Or rather...
No.
Yes, you are. You just took away the right of the woman who wants to get married to a particular person. Wait. First and foremost, who gave you the right to say that they don't have the right to marry whom they want?
Because I think
you're an atheist. You don't even have a religion. So who gave you the right to condemn their marriage?
Because I think.
You think? Yeah, go on.
Well, first of all, the second.
What do you think?
I think the first wife should have a say in the second wife, and in Islam you don't.
Where is the law for that?
In Islam, the second
No. Where's the law for that? Who told you the first wife, or the second wife, or the third wife, or the fourth wife have to comply with the other co-wives for the man to get married? No. So if the husband wants to marry one wife and she agrees to the marriage, they are married. If the husband wants to get married to the second wife and this second wife agrees, then they can get married, and so on.
What about the first wife agreeing to the second marriage?
You know what? The first wife, sometimes she lives like a sister with the second wife. She does. The reason you're taking away the right of these women, by the way...
You've taken away the right of the first woman.
Can you, as a man, have multiple girlfriends?
I don't think it's right.
You don't think it's right?
No.
Do you think it happens?
It happens.
Do you think it's legal?
It's not right.
Do you think it's legal?
It's legal, but it's
Good.
not right.
So if it's legal, that means the government agrees with it.
No, they don't agree with it.
Well, it will be illegal otherwise.
It's morally wrong.
Morally wrong? Oh, you're teaching us morals now. An atheist. Where do you get your morals from?
Well, I don't know.
You don't know? You don't know? Let me ask you this.
Better place than you do.
Let me ask you this.
Child marriage, sex slaves,
let me ask you this.
killing.
But you just took away the right of the women. Okay, let me.
Right, the first woman.
Let me ask you this: if two adults want to get married, yes, regardless of the gender, yes, is it okay?
Yeah,
if 2 adults, yes, they both consent to the marriage, yes, or they both consent to have sex even. Forget about marriage, yes. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. If someone wants to sleep with their mother, is it okay? No? Which moral says no? The religious moral or your atheist moral?
The country's moral.
The country's moral. It's not illegal. In some countries, not illegal. All right. So which morals are you talking about?
I think we.
You don't have morals. You know that. As an atheist, you don't have objective morals. You make up your morals based on whatever is the fashion, whatever is in the country.
Yeah, maybe,
yes.
maybe.
Okay. So in this country, many people have multiple girlfriends.
Yeah.
Or many girls have multiple boyfriends.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not illegal. You agree?
Not illegal.
Okay, which means the government considers it not to be against the law, and they agree with it somehow.
Well, yeah, there's certain freedoms.
Yes.
But we work this out.
So if they can have the freedom to have multiple girlfriends, why can't these people have the right to get married? Yes, the same with the same right. Why are you using double standards that they can have multiple girlfriends, but they cannot have multiple wives?
Because I'm saying the first wife has no choice about the second and third marriages.
Why do you think she has? You know, the first wife has a right to divorce if she wants to. In Islam, we have the right to divorce by both men and women.
It's much harder for a woman.
How do you know it's harder? All she has to do is go to the Qadi. All she has to do is go to the Qadi. Really? So you know how it works. Go on, explain it to me. Let's see. He's shaking his head all the time. Explain to me.
Bring on the ratio of women and men in this country. Do you know it?
No, we will go there. That's another topic.
50-50.
Yeah.
50-50.
Yeah.
So tell me, how does
No rubbish.
how does a Muslim woman get divorced? Let's see if you know. Let's see if you know. How does a Muslim woman get divorced?
Woman outnumbers men.
It's very hard for her to get
How?
divorced. She has to prove things like lack of conjugal rights and things like that.
If the ratio is like
No, that's not the only grounds on which you can get divorced.
No, but she can't just say I want a divorce because my husband.
If it is as simple as this, there are certain rights of the wife. If the husband violates those rights, then she has a right to khula. The term for that is khula, which means she is a female instigated divorce. And this is something.
It's not granted.
Wait a minute. In the Bible, there is no right for the woman or the man to get divorced. Are you aware of that?
Yeah.
Yes? So at least Islam, 1400 years ago, gave the right for the man and the women to get divorced for a legitimate reason. There has to be a legitimate reason for both.
No, the man.
No, even man. You
No.
cannot just divorce someone and for a reason that is not legitimate. There has to be a legitimate
No, a man
reason.
can do it for any reason.
For any reason. Where do you learn that from?
Well, he just says talak. If you have an argument. Or something.
There you go. You see, this is what happens when you go on hearsay. You haven't looked into this, have you?
But
Just like the idda, you haven't looked into
If he
this.
wants-
Say
if he wants
you
to-
cannot have talak. There has to be an idda between each talak.
Yeah.
Are you aware of that?
But-
So it's not talak, like the way you misrepresented
No, but he can
the
do it-
right
he
of the
can do it-
man.
He can do it for any reason.
No, not any reason. There has to be a legitimate reason.
No, he doesn't have to say anything.
Okay, anyway, since you don't know, I suggest
So
you go and look it up.
So
I suggest you go and look it up. Okay, we were talking about the right of the women to get married to a husband. Okay, first and foremost, if it is something which you consider as moral, which I know you have no grounds for morality as an atheist.
I've got morals as the country's morals.
No, but the country's morals are not your morals, are they?
I'm part of deciding.
And many of the country's morals actually come from the Bible. So that's come
Yeah,
from
not all of
religion.
them,
They come from religion anyway.
Thank goodness we don't get them coming from Islam.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
So we don't have child brides, sex slaves, and
All of that is in the Bible. Have you read it? Have you read it?
No, but
You didn't know that, did you?
you agree with it then? You agree with
I
sex
just
slaves?
give you example of
Do you
Jesus,
agree
his
with
mother,
sex-
getting married at the age of 12. Sorry, getting pregnant at the age of 12.
But do you agree with it?
No, wait a minute. You said, thank God, not Islam.
Even outside religion, even in this country.
Yeah.
Do you agree with it?
Pedophiles, I
Do you-
don't.
do you- But it's in Islam. That's the trouble. It's in Islam.
But you agree with murder of child in the stomach of the mother.
Only to a certain-
And you said few cells. When I told you ripping them limb by limb, he was okay with it.
No, I wasn't. I said no.
So would you what?
Sex slaves. Sorry. It's Sabiya. It's a well-known thing in Islam. It's in the Quran.
I just told you it's not sex slave. It's not the way you think.
It is sex slaves.
Those people, we had a long discussion already on that.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that there are certain morals which you said, like abortion, you don't agree with. Yes. So don't tell me the morals of the country are your morals, because you said that already. Okay. So your morals are always going to be changing. It's going to be fluid. So it's based on your desires, isn't it? It's based on your desires. So when you feel like okay, it's okay, then you accept it. When you feel like it's not okay, so have you ever been wrong in your life?
Yeah, of course.
So how do you know these morals that you think are right today are not wrong actually.
But the thing is, how do you know? How are you so
Look,
sure?
at least I got the Sharia,
Yes, but-
which is something that I can always, whether it's today, whether it was yesterday, or whether it's tomorrow, I have something to go back on to. You on the other hand, you will actually always fall for whatever is the law of the country, and you'll go by those morals. You'll see other people. So for example, if the law of the country says incest is okay, you will be okay with it as well. Maybe not today, maybe your progeny, at one time they will be actually groomed to a level where they say, yes, it's okay for mom and brother to sleep together. Yes? Do you think that is condemned today by you? Incest, do you condemn incest? Yes, you do.
Yes.
Maybe tomorrow your children or that children might condone it.
Well, yeah, but
So why? So your morals are neither here nor there. So please do not lecture us on morals.
But your morals are terrible.
That's your point of view, and you're entitled to it. I've explained to you
What happens if your Sharia is wrong?
what happens.
Yeah.
You tell me, how is it wrong?
Then I've told you how I think it's
That
wrong.
is your opinion. That's all it is. And my opinion is that abortion is wrong,
but your opinion-
and something that happens legally in many of the Western countries. So you see, killing of defenseless children is perfectly okay based on your country's morals.
But you think having sex slaves is okay?
Like I said, you consider them as sex slaves. I do not consider. For me, that there is no marriage unless and until both the male and the female agree to it. Okay? And these people, like I said, what you're doing is you're bringing in 1400 years ago the law of that to today. Like I said, today most of the Muslims that I know, okay, they do not go looking for a bride who is basically very young. They marry someone of their own, around their own age, or someone just maybe a year or two, and this is the norm in most Muslim countries. And like I said, if you are going by something anachronistically, then you will see that many people today, they still have girlfriends, they still sleep around with women and discard them when they don't feel like anymore. And this used to happen 1400 years ago, 2000 years ago, and it's still happening today. And that, my friend, is not illegal. And you consider that as moral? Would you consider that as morals?
What?
Go have sex with a girl and then have one night stand with them and then discard them?
Well, no, but that's
Well, that happens, isn't it? That happens, and it's not illegal. So do not blame the Sharia when your own morals really are bad.
I'm talking about a 9-year-old girl that you think it's okay to have sex with.
I think you're obsessed with a 9-year-old. As an Islamophobe, I can understand that is always going to be on the top of your head. When you yourself I've never seen you raise a voice against the pedophiles who are not Muslims in this country. I've never seen you say. All I see is Muslim that, Muslim this, Muslim
I
that.
hate pedophiles.
You hate them?
Yeah.
Good. Have
All
you?
of them.
Then say, do not keep saying just the Muslims. Because for me, I hate
But you're
pedophiles.
justifying it.
No, you consider that as pedophilia. I do not.
Exactly.
I'm talking about a marriage, not a pedophilia. There's a big difference.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Having sex with 9-year-old girls is having sex with
My
9-year-old
friend,
girls.
all you're obsessed is with sex.
You just told me, because you just told me.
I told you
it's
about a
okay.
marriage. The 9-year-old got married, my friend. Have you not realized that? Do you think these pedophiles marry their children? Do they?
But
No, they
you're
don't.
talking about having sex with 9-year-old
No,
girls.
you're talking about 1400 years
I'm saying it's
ago.
not right, and you're saying it's right. That's the difference.
No, the difference is one is a marriage, the other is abuse. Big difference.
Not a big difference.
It is.
No, it's not.
Okay,
That's
which,
abuse.
which pedophile you know married the victim? No, which pedophile? Wait.
The thing is, I'm not justifying. You're justifying.
No, I'm not justifying.
I'm saying it's wrong.
Wait.
You're saying it's right.
You're saying it's pedophilia, I'm saying it's a marriage. Okay?
9-year-old girl.
Well, that's fine. Look, he ran away. That's fine. Because you see, at the end of the day, abortion is killing children who are just not even born yet. Okay, Jazak Allah Khair. Shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Where's the cameraman? They just ran away. Guys, get your cameras. Abdul Hamid. Your cameras. Okay.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Naveed, your camera. Your camera.
So, any questions? Jazak Allah Khair. Have you got the mic?
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Vegard and I'm a Norwegian Muslim convert. I'm working with the Dawah organization IslamNet to establish the Deen of Allah here in Norway. We give Dawah and present Islam to the Norwegian people. Isn't that great? To be more efficient in our Dawah, we are establishing a first of its kind masjid and Dawah center where we will have Islamic programs, classes, lectures and education for non-Muslims. I am so grateful to Allah for having guided me to Islam. Sadly, I am the only Muslim in my family. It hurts me that my parents haven't accepted Islam yet, and I ask Allah to guide them. But it also gives me a special drive to work for the establishment of Islam. I don't want anyone to miss the chance of becoming Muslim. Maybe my mom and dad become Muslim one day thanks to you. If we can establish this center, I could bring my parents to come and learn about Islam in our native language, which is a challenge today with the mosque here speaking Somali, Arabic and Urdu. The Prophet ﷺ said that the Muslims are like one body. If you can feel my pain, would you please help me relieve it? You are now my new family. Click the link and donate to establish this masjid and share in the reward for the message of Islam reaching the corners of Norway.